Hello everyone. Welcome once again for another episode that we are still learning Scratch. I'm happy to have you here. For those who are coming for the first time, welcome. Please ensure that you subscribe so that you don't miss on any episode that's coming. And for those who are coming here for the second time and the third time, I'm happy to have you back here again. Thank you so much for always coming back to check on the new video that we have uploaded. So in today's lesson, we'll look at some of the few things which I will mention. One is that we'll see how to change the backdrop or the stage, and then change the character or the sprite. And also we'll see how to resize the sprite. We'll see how to resize the sprite so I have a bigger sprite and or have a smaller sprite on the stage. Also, we'll see how to make this kind of sprite move to 4 different directions. That is to the left, to the right, to the top, to the bottom, using the arrow keys that we have on our keyboard. Okay, so first, let's begin by deleting what we have. So I will delete by this one. I'll delete this one. So I delete, so I know I don't have to have anything on the stage, and the stage is blank. So first of all, let me look for a better stage. So I click on this one. This one, I believe you're able to see this one. Choose backdrop. I choose that backdrop, and then I can look at a specific backdrop which I feel like it's comfortable with what I am working with. So I can choose any. You're free to choose any that you feel comfortable with. But for now, allow me. I choose the desert. I think I love desert. I'll choose this one. Now I've chosen that one, so I have something like this. So I've changed the backdrop. The next thing is to choose my character, and I think I will choose my character. Let me choose this one. I'll choose which I just use. Let me just use what? Let me just use the ball. The ball. So this is my ball. My ball is this one. Okay, this is not visible. Let me look for something different. Let me delete this one and look for something different that will be visible on the stage. Let me look for this apple. This one. I think I love this one. Yes. So I have this particular apple of mine here. So first of all, sometimes you may find that your ball is a bit maybe no, this not ball, this apple. Your apple is a bit small or bigger, so which I can change here. So you see here I written size. I believe you're able to see the written size. If I remove this one and I write, for example, 150 or even 200, let me write 200, and then I press enter on my keyboard. You're able to see the size of the apple is big enough. Not big enough anyway, but just bigger. Let me say it that way. So this size of the apple is big. If I make it to, let's say, 300, let's see how it look like. 300, press enter, it's becoming bigger. If I want to reduce, I just reduce here and just write here 50. I press enter. Now the size of that particular apple of mine becomes smaller. So for my case, let me make it roughly, I think 100 is fair. 100 is fair. Yes, 100 is fair. So I think I can have it. And I can even change the name of my sprite. Instead of calling it Apple, I can change the name and call it, for example, what can I call? Let me call my fruit. Let me call it fruit. So I have the name of my sprite or the character. I call it fruit. So that is what I have. Now, one more thing that I want us to look at, we have changed the backdrop, we have also selected our sprite, and we have seen how able to change the size of this particular sprite that we're using in this case. The next thing is that we want to see how we're able to make it move to different direction based on the arrows that you click on your keyboard. I believe on your keyboard there's arrows that point up and down, and then to the right and to the left. But allow me to take you a bit to understand this what you call X. Let's say talk in mathematics, there's something called X-axis and Y-axis. But the Y-axis is the one that go horizontally, while the X-axis is the one that go vertically. So for example, if I move my apple up, I'm doing vertical movement. If I go downwards, still vertical movement, but now in a negative direction. If I go to the right, it is a positive. When I go to the left, it's a negative, but still under the x-axis. Going up, y-axis. Going the left and the right is x-axis. Right, now in knowing that, having that idea, I think we'll move the next thing to try to move this particular apple to the left and to the right of the screen. Let's begin with that. So I'll click on uh, under motion. Under motion, I will scroll down under motion blocks. I will scroll down to where we have change x. Change x by 10. This one. So this change x is the change the position of x. As you can see here, my x at this point is negative 150. If I click on this one, the apple moves some distance. Now it changes to negative 140. It's reducing, it is increasing by 10. I know someone may say that it's reducing, but it is increasing because negative 150 is smaller than negative 140. Negative 140 is a bit bigger than negative 150. So if I do this way, negative 130, negative 120, negative 110, negative 100, 90, negative those way, going up to the positive side. That is 10, 20. You see what's happening is that the apple is moving to the right side and the value of x is increasing by 10, by 10, by 10, by 10. So that is how the value of this particular x is increasing. Next, if I come with the word written change y by 10, I bring this change y by 10 this way. And then when I click on this change y by 10, the apple will move up by 10. So look at this particular y that I have here. I have the y is negative 56. If I click on change y by 10, you're able to see that it's reducing, it's increasing. I'm sorry. You see 24, 34, 44, 54, 64 going that way. So it's changing y by 10. What about, let's say if I click on change y by 10, this one, but I change instead of having 10, I put in negative 10, negative 10. Then look at what happened. If I click on this negative 10, look at here we have 74. If I click on this change y by 10, we have 64, 54, 44, 34, 24, that way. So I can also have the other one for x, that is change x by 10. And now I have it change y x by 10, and I have it as what? Negative 10. That way. If I click on it, it moves to the left side. You see it's moving the left side. When I click the positive, it moves to the positive side or to the right side. If I click on positive y, it goes up. Negative y, it goes down. Now, having that idea, you can be able to see that when you press the negative, it goes to the left side. When I press the positive, it goes to the right side. If I press the positive for y, it goes up. The negative for y, it goes down. Now, allow me to arrange this one in a way that, uh, based on how our keys look like. So the left is on this left side, the right is on this right side, and then the positive, let me arrange, put it up here. Just want to arrange how the keys are on our keyboard. Let's say this way. Now, one thing I have to ensure that someone has clicked on the right, left, top, or down keys on my keyboard. So what do? I click on the control and I look for a block called if then. So I'll bring this if then. I will come with 4 of them. Let me come with 4 of them. This one. Yes, I have 4 of them. So out of these 4 of them, I need to ensure that a user or somebody who is playing this game has clicked either the left, the right, the top, or the down key. So what do? I go to the sensing block. In the sensing block, I click on what is written key space pressed. So by default, it is saying if the space key is pressed. So key space pressed, let me move kidogo. I have this way. Then key space pressed. Again, I use this one. Then I have another one, key space pressed here. Then I have the last one, this key space pressed, this one. So I have this one. Once I have this one, this is what I do next. Now I want to change when the right arrow, let's say for example, when the up arrow is clicked. Then another one is when the down arrow is clicked. When the down arrow is clicked, is down, say down arrow. Then when the left arrow is clicked and when the right arrow is clicked. Now I have all these 4 blocks. Now I will take the positive one. For example, for the up arrow, I will take this one. The up arrow, I will take here. Then I move this change y by 10. I put it inside here. So now I have a block of this kind, right? And then also I will make the one that goes at the bottom, the arrow down, this one here. And then I pull this one, there's a negative change of y. Ensure that it is y changed by negative 10. So I have it here. So let's have also the left arrow. The left arrow is this one, the negative. This is the left arrow. We click here, we drag it here inside. So we have that one also for the, sorry, this is the left arrow. This is supposed to be the right arrow, not left arrow. This should be the right arrow. So in this right arrow should be positive. I take the x that way. So I have all the 4 blocks that test whether this one is the left key is clicked, the right key is clicked, or the top or the bottom. So those are the these are the 4 different keys that when pressed it act in a particular way. So now that we have all of them, let's join the one that goes up and down. For example, this is up and this is down. Let me join them together. Then I have the right and the left. Let me join them together this way. Then I have it together, all of them this way. So now I have all this block of code, but now I have to keep on checking to ensure that it is working as expected. I will use a block that do a repetitive task, that is forever block. So and then I put all this code inside. So what you are seeing is that I'm clicking on the where it is an if. Wherever it is an if here, I will click this one and then I drag inside so that it does not separate. So that I have a whole block like that, and I have it here. Now the next thing is the event, so that the game begins in a better way. So I click on events and I click on when the green flag is clicked. Now we are good to go. So let's click on this green flag on our game. Here I click on the green flag. And then let's see if I click on the bottom arrow, the up arrow, the left arrow, no, the right arrow, the left arrow. You see, you're able to see that our apple is moving to the left or the right based on the keys that I clicked on my keyboard. And then you can see, you can be able to slow, if you want to slow the movement, how it's moving from the direction that you have clicked, you can slow the movement by reducing the size. Instead of 10, you say 5, this is negative 5, then this is 5, then this is negative 5. And then you can see, if I do that way, it will move with some small steps. Move with some small steps, as you can see. And also because of I reduced the steps that make. If I say move by 15 steps, for example, let's say 15, negative 15, then I have also 15 here, 15, then I have negative 15. So I made it that way. Let's look at it. You see it's moving at a faster speed. It's moving at a faster speed. Another thing you're realizing is that it's moving beyond the boundaries. Yes. Now, in the next video, we'll create and you'll see how we're going to create to ensure that this apple of ours does not go beyond the size of the screen. So that is the next episode that we'll see. How do we prevent it from moving outside the stage? Yes, I think that is it. That is the end of that. We have achieved what we had promised to do in this video. Thank you so much for following up with this far. See you in the next episode that we'll see how we're able to manage this particular apple of ours, that it does not go beyond the boundaries of the stage or the back. Let me say so. Bye bye. Enjoy your day. See you next time.